The next tool we're going to look at is the pencil/brush tool. This tool is used for drawing things in Photoshop, but it has a lot more applications than you would think. There are two basic forms of the pencil/brush tool, the pencil and the brush. The pencil basically draws just as you would expect it to. There's no special effects, you click and it draws whatever you want and you can drag it around. It's pretty simple. With the brush tool, it's a bit different. By going up into your options window, you can adjust the flow of the brush and make it so that it doesn't draw just a bold picture. It's more faded in, like an actual brush. It's not as solid. Now with both the pencil and the brush tool, you can adjust the opacity, but also you can adjust all these various different versions of each tool, which these you're just going to have to experiment with. I don't really have time to get into them all. Just experiment with them and just find which ones you like and what effects you think are useful. Now by clicking on the brush icon right here, you can bring up your brushes. Now it's kind of confusing that whether or not you're using the pencil to brush, it's different stencils are called brushes, but whatever. These are all the shapes that you can use for your brush, and they serve a variety of purposes, from backgrounds to shapes, and you can even make entire works of art out of these. And the nice thing is that there are countless websites that provide these for free, and they're public domain, so you can use them as much as you want. And there are all kinds of creative shapes and designs you can use, and you just basically use them as a stamp, and you can adjust how large they are here. And so you can easily create an amazing background. But see, as you notice right here, it looks all pixelized and it doesn't look very good. That's because certain stencils are only meant for certain sizes. Sometimes, if you try to put them at a larger resolution, they don't look as good. But these are something you really will have to experiment with on your own. And just feel free to go through these sites and look for them. And if you want to import them, you simply go over here and click on this little arrow / triangle, or whatever you want to call it. And then you go to load brushes, and you can then load whatever brushes you want. And so I'll show you a few examples of how you can enhance your projects by using brushes. Here you see some basic text, nothing special, but by adding some brushes, it becomes a lot more interesting to look at. Now you may be wondering how I made that stuff pop up. If you go over to your layers and click the eye, it makes that layer disappear or reappear. And remember that if something's disappeared in your project, it won't appear in your final file once you save it. So keep that in mind when you're using this feature. It's just there to get stuff out of your way so you can work easier sometimes. One final thing to note about brushes is that the files, when you're downloading them, they will be ABR files. So just remember that. That's what the actual file will be. The next tool on our list is the eraser tool. It's pretty self-explanatory. It just erases things. I'll show you right here. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into the background eraser or the magic eraser tool. Just stick with the regular eraser. It'll be the only one you'll ever need. Next we have the paint bucket tool. This tool is a lot like the magic wand tool because it deals with tolerance and it deals with selecting various colors. You'll see that you have tolerance, anti-alias, contiguous, and all layers, just like with the magic wand tool. Pretty much all the stuff I said about the magic wand tool applies here. Leave anti-alias off, contiguous on, and have your tolerance somewhere between 30 usually. The paint bucket tool is basically like the paint bucket tool in MS Paint. You just click and it paints whatever color you want and it changes it to a different color. It's pretty simple. But it's not the most useful tool in Photoshop because the things you're doing are a lot more complex than just painting something one solid color. And so it's not that useful, but you still might find some uses for it. The most important tool here though isn't the paint bucket itself, it's the gradient tool, it's alternate. This tool is very useful for making quick backgrounds and making your projects look a lot more presentable. To make a quick gradient background, first you need to make a new layer and then bring this layer to the bottom since it'll be, the background. Next, go up to your options window and then select this blending version of gradient. This is the one most commonly used, and you're going to need to select two of the same color but make sure they're different shades. Then you simply draw the gradient, and then you have a gradient in the background. Now, this isn't the most impactful gradient because the colors used are pretty similar in shade, but I can show you a different gradient. Here you can clearly see a blend going on, and it's a lot better than just a simple one color background. It really does enhance your project. Of course, I wouldn't recommend using gradients all the time and completely relying on them, but if you're in a hurry and you need a background quick, that's what gradients are there for.